My name is Savannah, and you're watching a workshop from the Indiana University of Pennsylvania Writing Center. This video will walk you through the basics of starting a blog and some of the techniques you can use to write blog posts that appeal to others and help you develop your writing skills. Before we get into all that, let's first address some misconceptions some people seem to have about blogs. Read these statements to yourself and try to figure out whether they're true or false. Hopefully, you figured out that they're all false. Let's break some of these down. First, blogs can be a lot more than just a daily journal covering your life. Lots of blogs contain personal stories and reflections. In fact, it's one of our tips for writing successfully online. But if all you're doing is chronicling your daily activities, most people who don't know you won't stick around. There are tools and apps you can use if you're looking for an online journal, but a blog might not be the best one. The next myth is that blogs just republish other people's content. Good blogs often link back to news stories, academic journals, and other blogs, but they also add something by commenting upon other web content. We'll talk more about that later. Next, many people think that blogging isn't a valid form of writing, that it won't help you get any better at writing if you do it a lot. That couldn't be further from the truth. Just like any skill, we get better at writing by doing it every day, even if it's for the web. Many studies have shown that blogging is a great way to learn English as a second language, or even just sharpen your skills. Here's one of the most common myths out there. Lots of bloggers think that frequent posting is all it takes to get hundreds or thousands of followers. Even the best writers have to make sure their content is entertaining and that they're marketing themselves so that people will find their stuff. We'll talk more about this later too. Finally, blogging is not difficult. Sometimes new online tools can be daunting, but blogging companies have gone out of their way to make sure blogging isn't too difficult to master from a technical perspective. What may take some time is the writing part, but that's no different from anything you want to become good at. Let's address some basic tips for getting used to blogging. First, read widely and deeply, meaning read many different kinds of writing and many different topics. And then, once you know what you're really interested in, become an expert on that topic. Once a week, try to read one thing you wouldn't ordinarily read. Second, practice. This is probably the most common writing advice that experienced writers give out in general. If you want to be good at blogging, write a few posts a week for a few weeks. You'll be amazed at how you get used to it. And finally, ask for help and ideas from people you know or the online community whenever you get stuck. If you're looking for places to find blogs, try a few of these search engines. Also, keep in mind that what your friends share on social media is probably good material if you're looking for examples. Whatever interests them will interest you. When you're on blogs, look around for places where the writers point towards their favorite blogs too. Be sure to bookmark stuff you like, or use an app on your phone to keep up with your reading. Sometimes people have a little trouble getting started writing. Once you've read a lot of blogs, it's easy to see how repetitious they can get. To make sure you have a unique voice that people will come back to again and again, try this exercise that blends your personal perspectives and history with your interests. First, jot down all the ways you categorize and describe yourself. Then list all of the topics you might like to write about. You'll probably notice for this one that you have a few interests, but some of them will fall under bigger categories, like sports, entertainment, food, or education. Finally, intersect some of your categories with your interests and see what jumps out at you. As a side note, you might also want to pick a topic and personality that will help you develop a writing style or voice. Choose something that will get your name out into the field. Maybe even something that you could use as a portfolio product. Also, if you're a student, sometimes your blog posts can serve as springboards for class assignments. Now that you've got the basics, let's talk about what makes a good blog post. Blog posts that capture our attention are rarely just text. They have videos, photos, and links to other information. They talk about universal topics and ideas, but we still have a sense of who the writer is. They contribute to their fields, but are centered around topics that readers care about. And sometimes they're really unusual or do something unique with their writing, images, or even website design. Here are a few other basics. First, visual storytelling is huge right now, and for good reason. Think of all the time we spend on websites like Pinterest, BuzzFeed, and other sites that collect images. You definitely want to include images of yourself. If you take photos or create graphics, you don't even have to worry about crediting someone. If you take images from another website, be sure to either get permission from that person or check to see whether they have a policy for that. Also, don't use an image or clip art just for the sake of having an image. Use your images to move your stories forward. Make sure that outside content, like definitions, news stories, or any other research that you use, is balanced with your own voice. Too much of one or the other is usually a turnoff. This graphic shows a blog post that has a nice balance between outside information and the writer's take on it. Want to see how this works for yourself? Grab a blog post that interests you. Be sure it's from a real blog, not just a news article or a how-to. Copy and paste the text into a document and highlight text that is from an outside source and text that could have only come from the writer's perspective. That will help you visually see how good bloggers strike this balance. Humor is huge online. If you've got a good sense of humor and you can convey that through your blog, do it! Pair some funny storytelling with good images, and you've got the potential for a well-read blog that generates interest in you. Finally, you've got to actually post your work somewhere. WordPress is huge right now because it has a lot of nice website designs and a lot of good tools for writers and photographers. The learning curve can be steep depending on how involved you get, but that's the one most serious bloggers use right now. Best of all, it's free unless you want to pay for hosting and a domain name. Other common tools are Tumblr, which is mainly for images, Blogger, Typepad, even Facebook Notes. But right now, WordPress is one of the most popular services and the one we recommend for beginners. That brings us to the end of this workshop. If you're an IUP student, you're welcome to bring any materials you're working on to the Writing Center in 218 Eicher Hall. No matter where you are or what you're writing, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for watching!